A workplace introduces multiple reward streams tied to different performance metrics. Each reward is visible and measurable, but they are not aligned toward a single outcome. The system now distributes incentives across parallel objectives, creating competing signals. Employees are evaluated across these separate reward components simultaneously. Each component carries its own benefit structure and short-term payoff visibility. The system begins to signal that multiple directions of optimization are equally valid. Under these conditions, effort allocation becomes a selective process. Employees prioritize the reward components that are most immediate or easiest to influence. Behavior shifts toward local optimization within individual reward channels. At first glance, this appears as diversified performance across multiple dimensions. The system seems to encourage balanced contribution through multiple incentives. However, the distribution of effort is not coordinated across objectives. What looks like balanced performance is actually fragmented optimization. Each reward channel pulls behavior in a different direction. The system begins to lose coherence in aggregate output. Employees start reallocating effort dynamically between reward components. They adjust based on visibility, timing, and perceived attainability. This creates instability in how work is distributed across tasks. One reward may favor speed, while another favors thoroughness. Optimizing for one directly reduces performance in the other. The system introduces trade-offs that are not explicitly reconciled. Instead of resolving these trade-offs, the structure preserves them. Each reward continues to operate independently, without integration. The system reinforces fragmented decision-making. A pattern emerges where employees cycle between reward targets. Effort is redirected toward whichever metric is currently most advantageous. This produces inconsistent performance across all dimensions. The system interprets this as active engagement across multiple goals. But the underlying behavior is opportunistic switching. Consistency across objectives deteriorates. The more visible a reward component becomes, the more it attracts effort. Less visible but equally important tasks receive reduced attention. The system amplifies imbalance through signal visibility. This creates a gap between measured performance and actual system output. Metrics reflect activity across categories, but not coherence. The system begins optimizing representation rather than result. A contrast emerges between intended coordination and actual execution. The structure assumes multiple rewards will align behavior. In practice, they divide it. As fragmentation increases, coordination costs rise. Tasks that require integrated effort become harder to complete. The system accumulates inefficiencies across interactions. Employees begin avoiding tasks that require multi-dimensional optimization. They favor tasks that align cleanly with a single reward component. This narrows the scope of effective work. Over time, certain reward channels dominate behavior entirely. Others become secondary or are selectively ignored. The system drifts toward uneven optimization. This dominance is not designed, but emerges from incentive accessibility. The easiest reward path becomes the default behavioral route. The system converges toward simplified decision patterns. Another contrast appears between system design and system use. The design distributes incentives broadly. Actual usage concentrates around a subset of them. As this concentration stabilizes, remaining reward channels lose influence. They no longer meaningfully shape behavior. The system retains complexity without functional impact. The equilibrium that forms is not full optimization. Each objective is partially addressed but never fully achieved. The system settles into a state of incomplete performance. Effort is continuously reallocated but never fully aligned. No single reward structure dominates completely, but none are integrated. The system maintains a fragmented balance. This equilibrium persists because no single change resolves all trade-offs. Each reward continues to justify its existence independently. The system stabilizes without achieving coherence. As employees continue reallocating effort between reward channels, short-term metrics begin to dominate decision timing. Rewards that are evaluated more frequently attract disproportionate attention. Longer horizon objectives receive delayed or inconsistent effort, widening the gap between immediate signals and cumulative outcomes. This introduces a time horizon mismatch inside the system. Short-term optimization becomes the rational default because it produces faster feedback. The system gradually biases behavior toward actions that register quickly, compressing long-term contribution. Managers observe consistent activity across visible metrics and interpret it as stable performance. However, the information they receive is fragmented across independent reward channels. The system creates an illusion of alignment while underlying output remains disjointed. Because each reward component reports success independently, there is no unified signal of overall system performance. Employees respond to these isolated signals without needing to reconcile them. Coordination failure becomes embedded in the information structure itself. As the system scales, more employees operate under the same fragmented reward logic. Local optimization patterns begin to replicate across teams. Fragmentation amplifies at scale, making misalignment systemic rather than individual. Effort allocation becomes increasingly synchronized around high-visibility rewards. This creates congestion in certain performance dimensions while others are neglected. The system develops uneven pressure across its own objectives. In response to this congestion, marginal gains within dominant reward channels begin to decrease. Employees must exert more effort for the same visible outcome. This tightens the constraint around high competition metrics. Some employees shift toward less crowded reward components to maintain efficiency. Others remain in dominant channels due to familiarity or predictability. The system splits into parallel optimization paths with different effort profiles. This divergence reinforces the fragmentation already present. No mechanism exists to realign effort once it diverges. The system stabilizes multiple competing optimization tracks. Over time, employees learn which reward components are consistently attainable under constraint. They begin pre-selecting tasks based on reward predictability rather than system need. Task selection itself becomes an optimization variable. This further disconnects effort from integrated output. Tasks that require coordination across reward dimensions are deprioritized. The system gradually loses its ability to produce coherent, multi-dimensional results. As partial optimization persists, the cost of switching between reward channels increases. Each shift requires abandoning progress in another dimension. Behavior becomes locked into narrower optimization loops. This lock-in reduces flexibility in responding to changing system demands. Even when conditions shift, employees remain within their established reward paths. Adaptation slows as the system becomes structurally rigid. At this stage, performance metrics continue to show distributed activity, but the underlying system is no longer capable of rebalancing itself. Fragmentation is no longer a phase, but a stabilized condition. There is a remaining uncertainty in how far this fragmentation can extend before breakdown. The system continues to function, but only within the constraints of partial alignment. Beyond that threshold, additional optimization no longer improves overall output. Instead, further effort reinforces existing distortions. Each additional unit of optimization strengthens the separation between reward channels. The system deepens its own structural imbalance without resolving it. Over time, the system stops rewarding integrated performance entirely. Instead, it consistently rewards isolated success within individual metrics, regardless of overall coherence. Employees who specialize in one reward channel gain predictable returns, narrowing the range of viable strategies. Tasks that require coordination across multiple reward dimensions no longer produce reliable outcomes. Effort invested in integration carries higher risk with no guaranteed recognition. The system effectively ignores work that cannot be cleanly mapped to a single reward signal. At the same time, attempts to balance multiple objectives result in diluted performance across all tracked metrics. This leads to lower visible outcomes compared to focused optimization. The system indirectly penalizes multidimensional effort by reducing measurable returns. A stable pattern forms where employees select one reward path and optimize within it continuously. Switching between paths becomes costly, and combining them becomes inefficient. Behavior converges toward narrow, repeatable optimization loops. What remains is a system where multiple rewards still exist, but only a subset actively shapes behavior. The rest persist without influence, neither guiding action nor correcting imbalance. The equilibrium stabilizes around fragmented performance that aligns with the structure of incentives rather than the intended outcome.